Hi creatives, welcome back to the channel. You guys, I am so excited to be making this particular video because I have been deep into researching and looking for a perfect way to create a pant that fits your bum. Now this has been an issue for me and I've been trying to sort that out, and I have actually figured out a way to do this. And you guys, you know me, once I learn something, I'm always very willing and ready to share that with you guys. So that is what this video is all about. We're going to be following this whole process together. We're going to be achieving the perfect pants for our bum. Now please don't forget to like this video if you're new. Don't forget to subscribe also if you're new. And you guys, let's go ahead and know the measurements you need for this process. Now the first measurement I need is my round waist. I'm just going to place my tape on the round waist. I'll add 0.5 ease allowance to that measurement and I will divide this by 4. So please go ahead and do the same. Find out your round waist, add 0.5 ease allowance and divide by 4. The next thing we need to know is the hip point. Go ahead and place the tape from your waist to your hip point. Please don't forget your desired waist that you're working with for the short, and then take this down to your hip point. Write that down on your paper and let's go ahead and take the next measurement. Now the next measurement is the round hip. I'm going to be taking my round hip and I'll add 1 inch ease allowance to that, then divide the number by 4, and that is the measurement I'll be working with. Now the next thing you need to know is your crotch point, and to do this you need to sit on a flat surface just as I am doing right now. You place the tape on your waistline and you take this down to the top of the surface that you're sitting on. Whatever measurement you get at this point is going to be your crotch point. Now the last but not the least is to know the length that we're going to be working with. As for me, I want my shorts to be 13 inches short, not long, and yeah, that is it. Now the next thing you need to know are the tools I actually use for drafting out this pattern. And you guys, I used a marker for this. I used a marker and also a pen. So that is what I use for my pattern drafting. I also had a curve ruler while drafting out this pattern. You actually don't really need a curve ruler. You can actually do this with your hand, with your free hand. But the next thing I am sure you need is your straight ruler. This is actually necessary because you need to get a perfect horizontal and vertical line. Now the other thing you need is a scissors, and also I'm going to be making use of a lot of pins. So go ahead and get you a lot of pins and let's go into the pattern drafting. On my cutting table here, I have my pattern already here, and the next thing I'm just going to do is from this point here, I'm going to go in by 5 inches and I'll be using my pen for this. You guys, what I'm taking right now, the 5 inches I'm taking right now is just for me to separate this allowance from the rest of the pattern, because I'm going to be drafting the front and the back pattern together, and I just need this particular allowance to be there for when I start drafting out the back. So just go ahead and do this step that I'm taking, and please make sure you use your pen for this so you can be able to clean if you make a mistake, okay? Now I'll go to the top of my pattern and I'll mark 4 inches down. You can do 4 inches, you can do 3 inches, whatever you want to do, but I will be using 4 inches. I'm just going to mark 4 inches down from my pattern, and I'm also using a pen for this. Like I said, I'm just going to rule horizontal lines and vertical lines to demarcate this whole allowance I'm taking out of the pattern before I start drafting out my front pattern. Before we start drafting out the pattern properly, I want to appreciate Skillshare for sponsoring today's learning. Now, in case you're wondering, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands upon thousands of classes available on there for me and you to consume. Now, apart from these classes they have available, they also have these new premium classes that launches every week. So it means that every new week there's always something new for me and you to discover and explore. And that is exciting, right? So whatever your interest is right now, whatever new skill you want to pick up, new interest that you just can't stop thinking about, and you're serious about getting started, you're serious about getting familiar with it, there is a class available for you on Skillshare. Now, this doesn't have to be something you're picking up for the first time. It doesn't have to be a new interest. It doesn't have to be a new skill. It can be something that you've been doing for a while. It can be something that you have been struggling with, or it can be something that you feel like at this point and at this stage of your life, especially now that the world is steady evolving, you feel like you need to update and you need to get better in that particular field. I guarantee you, you're going to find thousands of classes available on Skillshare for you to learn from. Whichever level you are on, Skillshare got you. For all the fashion lovers on here, there are thousands and thousands of fashion classes available on Skillshare for us. Now, you guys, there are fashion illustration classes, there are classes on how to create a corset pattern, there are classes on how to make a fitted pant. There's even a class on how to know your fabric more. Charlie, and I feel like this particular class is something that we all on this channel need to be interested in because we need to know our fabric more. We need to familiarize ourselves with the fabric so we can know the best fabric to use for whatever style that we are about to create, so we can get that beautiful finished look that we deserve. Okay, now you guys, whatever it is that you're struggling with on your sewing journey, I guarantee you there is a class available on Skillshare that can put you through and you can learn from. Now, you guys, for me personally, I have been taking classes on how to film and edit engaging content because this has been my recent interest and obsession. And I've been taking these really awesome classes. And you guys, honestly speaking, each of these different classes has been an eye-opening process for me. Class that I'm taking right now on social media success. This class is by Lily Singh. You guys, I'm actually really grateful for discovering this particular course because right now your girl is learning a lot. Your girl is learning how to be authentic with her content creating, how to incorporate storytelling into my content creating. And I feel like if I'm able to learn all this and start practicing it, this is just going to help my journey as a content creator. I am really excited about this particular community. At this point, Skillshare is making me feel very sure about my future as a content creator. You guys, the most exciting and amazing thing about this whole experience I'm having right now is the fact that apart from the knowledge I am gaining, apart from the new things I am discovering, and your girl is exploring already on Skillshare, Skillshare has also been so kind enough to provide a link for me and the next 1,000 of you that click on this link. Now, this link is going to be on my description box below. So the next 1,000 of you that click on this link, you're going to be getting 1 month free trial. So girl, if I were you, I wouldn't want to miss up on this opportunity. That is, if you're ready to start making those great decisions for yourself, you're ready to start exploring this interest that you have been having and you cannot shake off. Now, I have a link down on my description box that you're going to click on, and this is just going to expose you to thousands of classes. You're just going to have these classes available for you to explore. And for now, let's go back into creating this pattern. So now we're going to start marking the vertical measurement, and the first line we have here on the top of the pattern is going to be the waistline. I'm just going to write that down for you to see. I hope this is clear enough for you to see. So this is going to be my waistline. All I have to do now is place my tape on that line that is the waistline, and I'll go down to mark my hip points. Now, just as you were standing and you were taking your measurement from the waist down to the hip like that, that is what we're doing right now on the pattern. What we're doing now is place the tape from the waist and we're marking down the hip point, which is also the hip line. So please go ahead and mark your hip point. And as you can see on the pattern, I'm not going beyond that 5 inches line. I'm just going and I'm stopping at that 5 inches line. So please go ahead and do that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is mark my crotch point. And my crotch point, I got 11 inches when I did that whole measurement. I was sitting on the flat surface. I got 11 inches, and that is what I'm marking down from my waistline. And like I said, I'm just going to be using a pen for this. I'll bring in my marker when I am sure of what I'm doing. You can see I made a mistake right now, and thank God I am using a pen. I can be able to clean this and then go ahead and adjust it to what it is supposed to be like. Now, the last thing we need to mark here is the length. That's for the vertical measurement. We need to mark the length of this shirt. And you guys, I said my length is going to be 13 inches, but I'll be adding 1.5 for my hemming allowance. So I'm just going to make this whole length 14.5 inches. So that, see me place my tape from the waist, and I went down by 14.5, and that is going to be the length of my shirt. So now that I'm sure of my vertical lines, I'm just going to use my marker and I'll go in with my ruler and straighten those lines up and make them more visible to you guys to see. I'm using the blue marker for this. Please go ahead and be sure of what I'm doing. I'm using a blue marker for this. Now why I'm actually saying this for you guys to remember is because when I'm drafting out my back pattern, I'm going to be using a red marker, but for the front I'm using a blue marker. So the crotch line, and this is the length. And now we're going to go ahead and mark the horizontal measurements, and this is dividing our measurements by 4, which we have already done from the starting of this video. So after dividing my round hip by 4, I'm going to mark that measurement on my waistline, on my hip line, on my crotch line, on the length. So right now what I'm marking is 10.75. Now this is what I got after adding 1 inch to my round hip and dividing that number by 4. I got 10.75, and I'm marking this on all points. You can see me mark this on the waist, and I'm going to mark this on the crotch, and I'm going to mark this on the length. Now that I'm sure of this point, I'm just going to go ahead and connect them like this. I'm just connecting with a straight line, and now you guys, you can see that we're having like a square or a rectangle, right? You can see that every point here meets from the sides to the center front. You can see that all the points just look alike, and this is how it's just supposed to look before we start adjusting. So please go ahead and take note of what you have on your pattern, because we're going to start adjusting. Now the first adjustment we're going to do is from the center front of the waist, which is this point here. I'm going to mark 0.5 inch in, and this is how 0.5 inch looks. I'm just going to go in by 0.5 inch, and because I am adjusting this front pattern, I'm just going to use my blue marker, because right now what we're doing is adjusting. So now I have my 0.5 inch. I'm just going to blend it back to this line here. You guys, this is going to be in steps and in process, so please go ahead and look at what I'm doing and just follow my steps gradually, okay? Now this is the center front. For those of you that are still wondering, this is going to be the center front of your pattern once you're done drafting, and this is going to be the side. Now once I have my half inches, from the half inches I'm just going to go in and mark my waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch that allowance. You guys remember that we added 0.5 inch before we divided the waist measurement, the round waist measurement. Now from this point I'm just going to go up by 0.5 inch, and what I'm doing right now is I'm raising my side front up by 0.5. That is half inch. So I'm just raising it up a little bit by 0.5, and I'm just going to go ahead and connect this line back and take it to the hip. So first of all, I'll connect the 0.5 back here, and I'm just going to connect this to my hip measurement, and I'm going to be using my curve ruler because my side is hippy, it's not straight, it's curvy, and that is why I'm using my curve ruler. And I'm using my pen because if I make a mistake I can go ahead and adjust. So I'm just using my pen to confirm my markings before I go ahead with my blue marker. So once I am satisfied with the curve I have, I'm just going to go ahead with my blue marker and connect this properly to the half inches I have upwards here. Now we're going to go ahead and mark our front dart, and that is the next step for us to take. And to do this, we're going to place a tape from these 2 points here and find the middle point. So for me, the middle point of 8.5 is going to be 4.25, and I'm just going to indicate that on my pattern. And now I'll go down by 5 inches, and 5 inches because that is the middle point of my waist to my hip. Now waist to my hip is 10 inches divided by 2 like this, it gives you 5, and that is how much that I'm going to be taking. So what I'm taking right now is half of the measurement I have from my waist to my hip, and that is where my dart is going to be stopping. I'll go ahead and connect these 2 points together, the middle point to the 5 inches down. And now I'm going to be marking half an inch on each side of the dart on the waist. So I'll go in here by half and here by half. So 0.5 here and 0.5 here. And now I'm just going to go in with my straight ruler and connect the dart legs to the 5 inches we have down on the middle point. So I'll connect like this. I'm just creating the dart legs. And you guys, I'm still using my pen for this. I'll also go in with my marker once I confirm this whole process, and that is what I'm doing right now. So I have my front dart indicated. So what I'll do now is connect this dart leg to the 1/2 inch I have up here. You remember we raised the side by 1/2 inch. I'm just going to connect the dart leg like this, and this is how the front pattern is looking. Now the next thing for me to do is mark my crotch extension, and for the front pattern I'm going to be using 2 inches as my crotch extension. Now this is my crotch line. I'm just going to extend it out by 2 inches. So please take note of where my tape is and see me mark 2 inches, and I'm extending this by 2 inches. So once I have my crotch extension, I'm just going to create a curve with my curve ruler to connect to this line already that I have here, and you can see how my curve ruler is sitting. I'm just going to go ahead and make a curve, and this is just going to be my crotch curve for the front pattern. You guys, please do not forget that you can adjust wherever you feel like it's looking pointy or too curvy. You can go ahead and adjust. Now you guys, for you to get a tight fit for your shorts, this is what you need to do. You just go ahead and connect your crotch down to the length. But if you want a loose fit like this picture that is here, just make sure you make a box at this point. So you take the crotch just down. You're not going to be making any slant connection. You're just going to take it down and extend the length out. But for me, I'm going to be making a tight fit for my shorts. So what I need to do is use a curve ruler and connect my crotch points to the length I already have indicated, and that is just going to give me a tight fit for my shorts. So please remember that you can get a tight fit or you can get a loose fit if you follow what I just said. And you guys, if you got to this point, you actually did very great. You have gotten your front pattern for the short, and let's go ahead and create the back pattern. Now for the back pattern, I'll be using a red marker. Like I said, that is what I'll be using. So you guys, please pay attention to what the red marker is going to be doing on this pattern. Now you guys, remember I marked 2 inches as my crotch extension for the front. I'm going to divide that number by 2, and I got 1. Now from where I have my hip measurement on the crotch, I'm just going to go in by 1 inch. So see me go in by 1 inch from the line I have from my hip on my crotch. And once I have that 1 inch in, I'll go over to my waist and I'll look for what I have here. I'll confirm the measurement I have from this dart leg to the center front of my shorts, and I got 4 inches. I'm just going to mark 1 inch in from the second dart leg I have here. From this dart leg I have here, I'm just going to go out by 1 inch. You can go out by 1.5, you can go out by 2 inches. What we're trying to do now is create the back, and because the back the center back is curvy, that is where your hip is sitting, that is why we're doing this whole process. So for me, I marked 1 inch from this that leg, and I'm just going to connect that 1 inch to the 1 inch I also have here on the crotch. So I'm using my red marker for this. Please do not forget, the red marker is for the back and the blue marker is for the front. So once I have this line here, I'm just going to raise my back by 1.5. Now this is the back that we're raising by 1.5, and what we're raising here is the center back. So this is the center back, not the side. We're raising the center back by 1.5 inch, and I'm just going to connect that line back to what we have here. So let me go ahead and label this out for you to see and understand what is happening. So this is the center back, this is going to be our center back, and this is the center front. Now this is how we're going to be making our back crotch extension. What I'll do is extend my crotch out by 4 inches. So for the back, the extension I'm going to be using is 4 inches. You guys remember for the front we used 2 inches, and for the back I'm just going to be using 4 inches. So see me place my tape from that 1 inch went in from the front, and I'm just going to mark 4 inches out, and then I'll connect this back with my red marker. And once you have this done, you just go ahead and create a curve. Now you don't need to force the curve to get to the 4 inches that we just indicated. You just need to create a curve like this that connects to the hip, and you are done. So this is the back crotch extension. We're just going to extend the length on the front short by 1/2 inch. We'll just extend it out by 1/2 inch and connect the back crotch to this 1/2 inch. So you can do 1 inch if you're a little bit bigger than me, or if you are very well bigger than me, you can do 1.5. Just go ahead and extend that length out and connect your crotch point to this. That's your back crotch. So this is the back crotch. Now this is the front crotch, so please don't forget. Now the next thing for us to do is to find our new hip point. Now remember, because we extended the center back by 1.5, we need to place our tape at that 1.5 down and find out our new hip point, and that's what I'll do right now. I'll place my tape from the top of the pattern and I'll go down by 10 inches. That is my hip point. I'll mark this out. And what I will do now is connect this hip point to the front hip point on the side. Now, you guys, at this point, I was supposed to, extend this by the total amount I have for my round hip divided by 4, but I didn't do that, but I'll be doing that later. But right now, what you need to know is that you need to create your new hip point, and this is how you're going to be doing this. Now, we're going to go to the back waist. We're going to mark our back waist measurement, and to do this, we need to connect the back waist that we've raised by 1.5. We need to connect it to the side. And you remember that we extended the front side by 1/2 inch. So before we can be able to mark our back waist, we need to extend that 1/2 inch on the side of the front. We need to extend this line because we need our front and our back waistline on the side to meet. We need it to be the same. I'm just going to confirm with my tape if this is 1/2 inch, and I'll make sure that the 1/2 inch on the front pattern is actually the same 1/2 inch that I extended out. And now once I have that, what I'll do now is place my tape and mark my round waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch for the dart. And I'm making sure that whatever I'm doing is going to land on this line that meets the front side. So this is the measurement I have. I'm just going to use my ruler to connect these 2 points together. So now I have my back waistline. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to move back to the hip. Like I said, I was supposed to do that before. I was supposed to mark my round hip divided by 4 on this hip line, on this new hip line, and that is what I'm doing. I'm just going to go ahead and extend the line out from the front hip. I'll extend it out. And now I'm just going to place my tape like this and mark my round hip divided by 4, and I'll make sure it lands on this line. So once I have that indicated, I'll go ahead and connect my waist measurement here down to this hip measurement here. Now what I'll do now is at the length, I'm just going to extend that out by 1/2 inch. And you guys, if you're bigger than my size, please remember to do 1 inch rather than 1/2 inch that I'm taking right now. So 1/2 inch is what I extended the length by, and I'm just going to connect the hip to the length. You guys, we are almost done with this whole pattern drafting. The next thing we need to do now is we have to mark the back dart. We have to take our back dart, and to do this, we're going to be finding the middle point on our back waistline. So I'll place my tape from these 2 points. I'm just going to find out what the middle point here is. And from the middle point, I'll be marking 7 inches down, and that is how long my dart is going to be for my back. So I'll mark 7 inches down. I'm just going to use my ruler to connect these 2 points together so I can create my dart legs. So I'll mark 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here, and connect just the way we did on the front. That is the same way we're doing here. So I'll just mark 1/2 inch here, and then I'll go out by 1/2 inch here. And then I'll connect this 1/2 inch that we have on the waist. I'll connect it to the darts. I'll connect it to the 7 inches we have down on the waist. And this is my darts for the back pattern. So this is the pattern drafting for the front and the back. And the next thing we need to do is we need to demarcate the front pattern. This is what I'll be doing. I'll bring in a new pattern. I'll go ahead and use my pins. Like I said, I use a lot of pins for this, and that is what we're about to exhaust. We're about to exhaust all the pins I have. So I'm just going to make sure I pin these whole patterns together all sides so it doesn't move. And I'm just going to make sure that I make the line of my back pattern clearer first before I move on to the next step. I just need it to be clearer because I'm going to be tracing out my front, but I want the back to be clearer. So now I have this clearer. This is the adjustment I was talking about. You need these 2 points to meet. So you need the hip point that we have here, the new hip point that we have here. We need it to meet the side of the hip we have here. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the adjustment. And now you guys, this is the next thing I'm going to be doing to trace my front pattern out. I have my plenty pins here, and what I'm just going to do is I'm going to place those pins on my front pattern. All the lines I have for my front pattern, I'm just going to use this pin to make that line visible on the second pattern we have at the back of this pattern. So remember, we placed 2 patterns together. What I'm doing now is I'm using my pins to, you know, indicate the lines I have for my front pattern on the pattern I have for the back. And I'm just going to do this on all lines, including my darts, including the dart I have on the front, including the crotch. I'm just going to do this on all parts, and you guys are going to be seeing the results I get at last once I am done making this whole process. So once I was done, this is what I have. You can see that the front is actually very visible on the back with the help of these pins. So what I'll do now is I'll use my marker to trace out what I have here as my front pattern. And you guys, that is how I was able to demarcate my front pattern from the front after I was done drafting. And you guys, please let me know in the comment section if it's something new that you're learning for the first time, and if this is actually really helpful for you. Let me know in the comment section, and don't forget to like this video. You guys, I keep saying this, like this video, encourage me with your likes, and comment if you have any issues so I can help you sort that out. And I'm just going to keep going ahead to trace out my front pattern on this pattern. I'm just indicating all points. I'm tracing out my darts, and I'm just going out to the side, and I'm using my curve ruler to get to the side properly. And you guys, this is my front pattern. I am really excited for this particular process. This is something I learned recently, and I am so happy to be trying and practicing it out. So once I was done with the process, I'm just going to take off the pins, because now I have my front pattern indicated on the other side of the pattern. And what I'm doing now is I can go ahead and cut out my back pattern on this first pattern that we created, and the new pattern I just indicated the front is going to be for the front. So this is the back right now, and once we're done cutting off the back, we're going to go ahead and cut off the front. So that is why I went ahead to use different color of markers, so you can know which is the back and which is the front. Now once I was done with the back, I'm just going ahead to cut out the front. And you guys, this is the whole process that I learned on drafting out a short that actually fit your bum. I hope this process is easy for you. I hope the explanations and the whole talking that I've been doing all this while is actually easy for you to follow and create one for yourself. Please, we're not done. We're still going to be creating a pocket for our front pattern. And what to do is mark in 2 inches from the side of your front pattern. Go in like this by 2 inches, and then you just go ahead and mark 6 inches down from your side. So I'll go down by 6 inches. That is how wide my pocket is going to be. I'm just marking 6 inches down, and to create a curve, I'm just going to mark half an inch in on the 6 inches I just marked. I'm just going to go in a little bit by half an inch, and this is just going to help me use my curve to get a beautiful curve from that 2 inches we have at the top of the pattern down to the 6 inches here. And yes, that is it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed the whole process. Please let me know in the comment section. I am so very happy to be doing this for you, and I appreciate you guys watching from the beginning to the end. Love and light to you wherever you are. I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye.